Hi, good morning, everybody.
Hi, teacher.
Hi, how are you guys today?
Hi, teacher. I'm fine. And you?
Fine, fine, thank you. Okay, so let's see who's connected. Alright, so we have 6 people. Okay. Alright, so today we're going to have a session in. We're actually gonna talk about and work related to materials that we can use when we create a listening lesson, and well, the materials that we can actually use in order to get listening comprehension for the students. And now the first question that I'm going to ask you related to this is the following. Can you see the next PowerPoint slide? Have you ever learned a song in another language?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, I have.
Okay, in what language have you learned the song? That is not English.
Um,
Japanese.
Japanese, okay.
I've learned it in, well, there are some Korean
Okay.
or Russian or French or Italian.
All right, okay. Now, in this case, how and where did you learn these songs?
Um, to them on Spotify or YouTube.
I learned it because I was in a chorus
Mm-hmm.
and they assigned that song.
Okay. So you
Also, I learned another one in African, I think.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. And in this case, for example, did they, like, for both of you girls who learned it, did you? I mean, did they tell you, you know what, you have to do this to learn the songs, or do they just ask you to repeat the song again and again and again for you to learn it?
In my case, they they ask us to listen to the song a lot, and they used to tell us the pronunciation. We used to kind of drill some words that were difficult to pronounce.
Okay. All right. And in this case, and this one is for everybody. Well, I think that most of us, our native language is Spanish. Um, when you learned, I don't know if you remember the first song that you learned in English. What was the process that you went through when you learned this English song for the first time? Like, do you remember how you felt, or if you were saying the correct words, or if they were nothing, like they had nothing to do with it, but you thought they were the correct song, the correct lyrics? How was the process for you?
I think for me at first it was just like saying words that had nothing to do with the actual and real. Like I was maybe just inventing words,
Hmm.
and then I had to read the lyrics and actually understand what the song is.
Okay, very good. What about the rest of you girls and Jesus? Um, how was the process for you when you learned, or when you were trying to learn a song in English?
Well, for me, I had to listen to the song every day
Hmm.
in order to process how to pronounce and what was the message. So yeah, I tried to follow the song as much as I could,
Okay.
and that made me uh, speak more, speak better.
Okay. All right. Very good. And I don't know if it happened to you that you were maybe you didn't read the lyrics before, but you thought you were actually singing the correct words, and then recently you checked the lyrics and then they had nothing to do with it. I don't know if it happened to you. Okay, now I'm actually gonna ask you to do this. In this case, I don't want you to look for anything like online. It's more about your opinion. But I have this next question. It's what are some advantages or considerations you must take when using the in the using songs, sorry, in the classroom? So I have advantages and considerations. What I'm going to ask you is I'm actually going to divide the group in two, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes in a breakout room for you to discuss any advantage and or any consideration that you can come up with. Okay? Yes? All right. So
Yes, miss.
let me I'm going to divide the okay, so you're gonna have 5 minutes, okay? Okay, let me move you to a breakout room. Hold on.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
Do you remember that song? Maybe
Yep.
like for a collaboration class, maybe like it could be helpful to bring like pictures of the sequence of the
Mm.
story, and students have to accommodate according as how the lyric goes.
Yeah. There's also, I think it was Leslie or Karime, I don't know, who used a Taylor Swift song.
Yes, I
And
remember that.
All right. So I think everybody is back. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do, I want to listen to some of your point of view, or your opinion about using songs in the classroom. What are some first? What are some advantages that you could discuss?
One thing that I said in the team is that the energy of the classroom, one advantage is that it boosts the energy of the classroom. Like the song can be like catchy or with a lot of rhythm, and students can feel better.
Okay. Yes. So it gives them a little like motivation
Yeah.
and engages them. All right. And what else did you discuss? What is another advantage that you could come up with?
Mm, we talked about like how for some students in a specific having music would be a little bit more fun and entertaining than having audios that are made for for learning purposes. So I think that the how can I say, like the classroom management will be a little bit more fun than using audios.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you came up with?
we were talking about they will feel less nervous because they won't feel like they're following a book.
All right. Yes. So it's more something that is more maybe related to them in a way, and they don't feel like to stress. If, as you guys are saying, well, girls are saying, um, it's like only book based. And what are some considerations that you came up with or
In
that you
my
discussed?
team, in my team, we were saying that we should take consideration like on the lyrics,
Hmm.
because maybe it is not appropriate or something like that.
Okay. Yes. So that's one of the things that it might not be appropriate. What else?
We also said that the grammar structures are not always correct.
Hmm. Okay. Yes, that's another thing. Um. Now, in this case, if we are focusing, for example, like if we are having a listening lesson, do you guys consider that it's important to focus on the grammar or in the listening comprehension?
We have to focus on the listening comprehension, but also taking count the grammar and the speed of the song.
Okay, yes, very good. Anything else that you came up with, or that you discuss that it might be like not a disadvantage, but something to consider?
Well, I don't know if it's important or not, but I think not everyone's learns by listening or by with music. So I
Okay,
think it's a to check.
okay. But what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Not everybody learns by listening.
Like nobody learns musically,
Okay.
and so that means that not everyone can feel as comfortable as others.
Okay. All right. But are you talking about like using or having music as a background when you are learning something, or doing a listening with a song?
Oh, doing and listening with a song.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. Now, in this case, I think some of you mentioned, that sometimes students don't feel too comfortable either using something from the book or something that is a recording that we already have in there. What is the difference between having a listening comprehension activity using a listening text from the book and using a song? What's the difference?
The
Well,
speed,
I-
Sorry, the what?
the speed.
Okay, the speed. What else?
the intended meaning that songs mean something else than just the literal meaning. Am I being yes?
Okay. Yes. Yes. Now, in this case, so I have listening texts from the book. I have songs. What else can I use in order to teach listening comprehension skills to my students?
A podcast, maybe?
Okay, a podcast. What else? What else?
An interview.
Okay. Anything else that you can come up with? Now, in this case, well, for example, podcasts, interviews, do you know what they are, or what is the name that we use in order to teach listening or reading or whatever? Have you ever worked with authentic material?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
what are the things that you have used when you use authentic material
In listening,
in listening or in any other subject or skill?
in another class, we all used I don't know how to say it, a tríptico.
Okay, pamphlet. Okay.
In listening, I've used, and I think most of my classmates also have used, is movie clips,
Okay.
like parts from a movie or a movie.
All right. Has any of you used a song to teach listening?
Yes.
Okay. Who did it?
Uh, well, I think most of us.
All right. So, how did you feel as you were using a song while you were teaching listening? How was it? How was your experience using a song for listening?
It was good for me, but I was a little worried because I thought that not everyone might like the song,
Okay.
or that maybe someone and probably loves the song and knows like what it is about or like the outcome of the story probably.
Okay. All right. So let's see. What do I have here? Oh no, I'm going backwards. Okay. Well, you already told me this. Now, in here, I have some of the things that you mentioned. Podcasts, in interviews. We have the songs, the movie clips that you mentioned, and we have these examples. And I'm sure that we can have much more. And these are more authentic materials rather than like the listening texts or recordings that we have from a book or from a school. Now, in this case, we're going to talk a little bit about authentic materials. And this is what we're gonna do, but I need to check how many of you guys are connected. You're 8. All right. I'm going to divide you guys in pairs, okay? And I'm actually gonna divide you in teams. Team 1, I'm going to call it like this. It's gonna be Betty and Jesus. You guys are gonna be team 1. And then I have team 2, Leslie and Andrea. You're going to be team 2. Team 3 is going to be Selena and Karime. And team 4 is going to be Natalia and Paulina. Okay? Yes?
Yes, teacher.
All right. Before the class, I sent an email with this text. I don't know if you received it.
Yes,
Yes?
Addis.
What about the rest? Did you receive an email?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. The email has a document that is called Authentic Materials in Listening Lessons. Okay. Let me go back to Zoom let me share the PowerPoint presentation. The document has these topics or points. 2.3, for example, Betty and Jesus, you have 2.3 and 4.2.1. And the rest, they have their own point as well. What I want you to do is the following. In this case, you're going to have like roles. I know that it's going to be in pairs and it might be a little bit more of work, but we're going to see how far we can get. What I want you to do is you're going to divide the sections you're going to read, and in your group, in your pair, you're going to discuss a little bit of what you read. You can take roles, you can be note takers, you can be readers, dictators if you want, but somebody has to keep track of time, okay? Because I'm only going to give you 15 minutes to read as much as possible. Why? Because when the 15 minutes finish, you're going to come back to the main session and share what you understood, okay? You don't have to prepare a presentation, nothing. Just what you understood on the points that you got, okay? Yes, everybody agrees, or do you have questions?
I understand, Miss.
Okay,
Yes,
what
teacher.
about the rest? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to divide you in pairs. Please, the only thing that I'm going to ask you is, one, that both of you work. I'm going to be checking every group for a couple of minutes. Both of you work and participate by giving your opinion, okay?
Teacher,
Yes.
can you just please go back to the last slide so I can screenshot the...
Hold on. This one.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Done.
Right. All right, so let me just separate you. Remember, you have 15 minutes, okay? So let me just assign. All right, there you go. So I'm gonna send you to the breakout rooms, and whatever question you have, you can either use the chat in Zoom or the WhatsApp, okay?
Mhm. Okay, it says listening material should be used and focus on the process of listening because we should prepare them for communication and we have to take into consideration the rate of speech, the vocabulary, and the different accents and dialects.
Okay.
All these elements that will be involved in real world communication.
Mm,
Okay.
Um, I don't see anything. I think that's it for that point.
yeah, it is short. Where is the other one?
What was it? 2 point? No, 4 point what?
4.1.2, I think. No, 0.4.
Just 4.
Yes, page
So
22. Mhm. We can switch if you want.
okay,
Yes.
okay. What?
Mm, okay, here's teachers' attitudes. Mm,
Did you finish, Natalia?
yes, I finished. Let me. Okay, I can start if you want.
Okay.
Wait. Okay, so this one's like kind of like talks about a specific book that it's called AM, and it's made by the Swedish education system. So these kinds of books are meant for learning purposes, obviously, but it says here that if we like if we are from another country, like from here, we are from Mexico, and we want to use those books, it's also good for our students because they can learn, for example, how the language is used in other parts of the world, for example, like Swedish, Switzerland, and then mm, that AM can provide better opportunity for exposing students to natural speech. For example, these books are meant for, they are not that, like for example, a proficiency book who is like filling the blank, like blah, blah, blah. This book is kind of filled with conversations, and if we use them, we can make our students be a little bit more exposed to real language rather than made up language. And finally, that well, one thing is that, for example, because these books are from other country, for example, if we use them here, it will be good for students because they will get to know a little bit about another culture, but still they could have some trouble because some things are not related to their own culture. Am I being clear?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Okay, so the AM was a book.
Yeah, it's a book.
Okay, because in my part I have like the same, but I couldn't. I was like confused because I didn't know what is the AM. I have
Yeah,
AM and I am like with an.
no. Well, AM is authentic material. Well, bueno, X es un material que como que lo crearon ahí de que en Suecia. En Suecia.
Okay. Well, here in my part.
¿También?
No,
Bueno, pues
Chuy, eso no era. Era el 2.3 y el 4.2.1.
segura.
Sí,
Ah, bueno.
no, pero la verdad estuvo con ganas lo que leíste porque pues me faltó entenderle unas cositas, entonces el cual está muy bien.
A ver, de lo que leíste, ¿qué leíste?
It says allows learners to connect to the world outside the classroom. There's also a good opportunity to listen to nature. They feel more motivated and they can hear natural phonological features on the good side. And on the disadvantages, there are too many new words. It can be too difficult and time consuming for both students or teachers.
Ah, ya.
What do you think?
Pues los dos se complementan, ¿no? De alguna manera.
Hey. Yeah.
This difference between the book, the dialogues that comes from the book, and what students will actually listen.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, that was pretty much.
Well, I mean, in my text, it was just like talking about two people discussing like what was most important. As I said, the interest or motivation.
Okay, I think a balance from both could be great.
Yeah, like something in the middle.
Yeah, but like something that will interest everybody and that makes them feel motivated at the same time.
Yeah, because as I said, the quote that it says there, first you hear and read about something, get interested, and then you get the motivation.
Oh, that's a cool.
But I think it depends because it talks about two teachers, I think, and one of them teaches vocational um, vocational programs, and the other one teaches theoretical programs.
Uh-huh.
So it's like something personal and something more about theory. So both of them have like a different opinion,
Perspective.
yeah, on which one is more important.
I guess both of them are important.
Yeah, same. We have 2 minutes. Oh.
He said, what are the things you will explain and the terms? Oh, okay. Maybe you can explain about motivation and interest, like the difference, and that we should have a balance. And I can explain the difference between the listening from a book and the listening from a real life situation.
Yeah.
2 minutes. Okay.
3. Did you read the other one?
Yo leí el de teachers' attitudes towards authentic material.
Teníamos que leer el de advantages y disadvantages.
¿Dónde está?
Es el 4.2.1.
El de teachers' attitudes.
I think it depends of the use that you want to give to the material. But at the end, it says that that's what I write, because it called my attention that Paula, here it says that Paula was more experienced teacher, and she used the AM, the authentic materials, the normal one. But here it says that might be because Paula was more experienced teacher. So maybe it's what you say, that M is the normal authentic materials, and the other one is like for academic purposes. That's why Robin used it, because he's not like that much experienced teacher, I think.
Okay.
So maybe I think that according to what you say, it has sense and we can relate it. I don't know.
Okay. Ay, ya se acabó el tiempo.
I don't know. Do you take a picture of the second slide?
No, pero but she uploaded to WhatsApp.
Ah.
15 minutes.
Ah, yes.
¿Cuánto llevamos?
I don't know. Complete the research. Okay.
The thing that I didn't got up like totally from my topic, because it mentions subject syllabus, and I thought that it was going to talk about like listening. Am I like for example the things that we learned with Miss Sandra, and based on what I read, it didn't focus at all on syllabus or in sounds. It was more on the like the topics and the like the things that students could get but from the culture, but it didn't talk at all about syllabus.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a little bit confused, but I think I hope we got it.
Chapter, it said that there are fourth or fifth, I think fifth. There are fifth kinds of authentic material. The ones that could help students develop the knowledge of language that surrounds them. The other give the students possibility to use text for different purposes. The other to get to know different parts of the work. And finally, I don't know what this means. Subject areas related to students. Well, they can talk about, for example, social things like issues, points of view, ideas. Like, for example, a debate could be.
Yeah. All right. So we're back in the main session. And were you girls, and well, with Jesus and Betty, were you able to discuss about what you read?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So in this case, I'm going to go by team and by topic. So I'll start with team number 1, which are Betty and Jesus. What can you tell us about the both points that you read about?
Well, they were more about advantages and disadvantages of authentic material.
Okay.
And well, the advantages is that they allow learners to connect to the world outside the classroom. You can also listen to native speakers. Students feel more motivated, and you can also hear natural phonological features.
Okay. Anything
And,
else?
and it says that it's more meaningful, interesting, and students feel like they are learning outside the classroom.
Okay. And did it mention some disadvantages or like opponents in this case about using the material?
Yes.
What were they?
Okay, they said that they can have too many new words for students. It
Okay.
can be too difficult. It is time consuming for both students and the teachers. It can be difficult to know the appropriate level for students. And all of the listenings are with the same type of voice. Like if you use the other material.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add to these points?
Yes, I also read about the importance of speaking and listening,
Okay.
and I think that both are as important as they can be. Both as are equal,
Mm-hmm.
and for that mean as teachers we have to create activities to motivate our students to speak up and produce the language.
All right. Okay. Yes. Anything else you want to include in here before we? Uh-huh.
I will also include another disadvantage that the listenings can be too fast or too slow for students, and you have to be very aware of the tempo.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. So I think you pretty much mentioned what are either benefits or disadvantages, as it says in here, of using the authentic material. If we compare them with book-based recordings or listenings. Okay. Now, thank you very much. So we'll go with team number 2, which are, if I'm not mistaken, Leslie and Andrea.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have the role of the teacher and teacher's attitudes. What can
Yeah.
you girls tell us about this?
The role of the teacher mentioned the importance that the teacher has, not only like how responsible the teacher is, not only while choosing the materials that will be used, but also how those materials will be used with our students. Um, it mentioned that we should choose material that is comprehensible for them, but that also includes new features that are just beyond the student's current level of, of language.
Okay.
It also mentioned that the material, the activity that we use for the material should be meaningful and interactive.
Okay. All right.
And that we should focus on the process of listening in order to prepare students for communication and interaction as it happens in the real world.
Okay. So we have to give a little context to whatever we're teaching, even if it's listening.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. All right. What else did you girls found in?
And
Well, on the second topic, it shows the teacher's attitude towards authentic materials.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, for example, like the 70% of the teachers agree that authentic materials is better at presenting different dialects and also different types of text. And the 30% agree that it is better at incorporating subjects related to students' social and working life. And that is what is said on the second topic.
Okay. All right. So now in this case, does it mention or did it mention in this part about like the difference between the authentic material and like book-based texts or no?
mm,
No.
No. All right.
No.
Okay. Don't worry about it. Anything else you want to include in this section?
No, not really.
Not really. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're gonna go with team number 3, which are Selena and Karime.
Yes, Miss.
All right. So you have purpose written versus authentic material, and interest and motivation with authentic material. What can you girls tell us about it?
Okay. In the first topic, purpose written versus authentic material, the listening passage, the passage said that there is a difference between listening to dialogues that are in, for example, in a textbook, and actually listening what a native speaker would say.
Okay.
For example, maybe in a dialogue from a textbook, you are going to listen, oh, we are going to, very polite, very elegant. But maybe if you travel to the United States, maybe you can hear some people saying going to, but it will be more common to hear gonna.
Uh-huh.
So yes, there is this difference, and also that there are different listenings for different responses. For example, you can have a conversation, a listening conversation, and the purpose of the listener is to to answer the conversation, the have a dialogue. But if you, for example, you put a listening for a tour guide, the listener doesn't have to speak at all. Maybe listen only to the main points.
Okay. To like to be aware of what the person is trying to transmit in the message.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yes. Very good. And what about what else would you want to add to this?
Oh, well, I mean, just the other topic, my interest and motivation with authentic material. And the text gives like the definition of both. It's like motivation has to do with internal factors, such as self-efficacy, I don't know how to say that, and
Okay.
and determination. And some students are motivated even if they are not interested. Like the class itself motivates them to go or to learn. And interest, students are engaged with the topic. And in this case, the teacher that says interest is like better or more important is because she teaches theoretical topics. So she has to come up with a good topic or with an interesting topic so students can be like more eager to learn. And then it says that first you hear or read about something, you get interested, and then the motivation comes.
Okay. All right. So yes, that's like the process that we tend to have internally, especially when we are learning in a way that we are not used to. So like including songs, movie clips, or anything that is like authentic material makes us go through a different process as the normal book based text that we have. Okay. All right, very good, very interesting. And we have team number 4, which are Natalia and Paulina. You have authentic material, listening, and the subject syllables. Sorry, and well, and actually both points are very same. What can you girls tell us about it?
With the first one, I read the first one, that's the 2.6.
Okay.
And it talked about different kinds of authentic material. Well, it's not that are different kinds, but how we can use one authentic material for a lot of different purposes. And specifically here you talked about 5 different purposes. And one that I really liked is that students, for example, if we use authentic material that is from the American culture, they could acquire things for another culture, rather if we use something that it's created here in Mexico. And that's one thing that I really liked. And the other thing is that students could use authentic materials for tasks that could help them like know how to develop their ideas and to give their opinions, experiences, feelings, etc. to others. So yeah, so that's basically what mine talked about.
Okay. All right. So yes, actually, it's pretty much what you mentioned. And what about authentic material and the subject syllables for English? What did you girls discuss about that?
Here, well, I read that one, and it was like two teachers discussing about the difference between, well, no, the pros and the cons about authentic materials and IAM. We think, according to what Natalia searched on the internet, we think that is normal authentic materials, and the other, which one was, Natalia? Intended, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's intended, but we couldn't find out what IAM means.
IAM.
So we thought about intended authentic material.
Okay. Yeah.
But we don't know if it's correct.
All right. Well, we're actually gonna check that next class. But what did it say about that?
It said that, for example, Paula was a more experienced teacher than Robin, and for her level of her class, he chose just the authentic materials, and Robin chose the IAM.
Okay.
That we suppose that is that one. So we think that is like it's supposed according to the level of the class or the students. We think so because we don't know actually what is the meaning of IAM.
Of
So
IAM. Okay.
we suppose that.
That it's intended authentic material.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So in this case, based on what you all of you read about, I want you, before we actually finish the session, finish the class, what is the like, what is your opinion now about authentic material in the classroom? What are your thoughts about it?
I think for me, it's really useful, and I have never considered like the things that my chapter said, that like it could not only help students to like learn, for example, some vocabulary or other things, like, but they could also acquire some things from another culture that we are not familiarized with. And I think for me, I think it's really useful. Plus, I think it's also a great way, for example, to help the environment, because I remember teacher Amalia gave us brochures that were reusable. So I think authentic material is really good.
Okay. What about the rest? I actually want to listen to most of you share a little bit about this, because this is something that we're going to be working from now on. Not only authentic material, but this is something that we're going to focus for the third partial, because the third partial is actually you guys, well, girls, working on creating a lesson plan, and that's actually what I'm going to ask you for homework, to select the material you would like to work with, for you to create your listening lesson plan. So I want the rest of you to tell me a little bit more about what are your thoughts about authentic material in the class.
Personally, I really like authentic material because I would say it's a little a little bit easier
Mm-hmm.
to find. Like there are a lot of videos and songs and movies and podcasts that we can use. Obviously, like checking them and considering different factors. But I think it is better because it also we can just choose a song or a video or anything that we know will interest our students, and we
Okay.
can also adapt them
Mm-hmm.
for the class purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's. I think that's one of the biggest benefits that we can actually we can engage them more, and it's also it breaks a barrier. Maybe if the student is not feeling, I don't want to say comfortable, but sometimes they don't feel comfortable because it's another language. And if we start using little by little, because we cannot really replace the books that we use, but if we use or integrate authentic material in the class, we can break the barrier that sometimes students have by only using the book. Anything else you want to add before we finish this part?
Yes, teacher. I also think that authentic material it is good because at the end of the day, this is what students will be using in real life. I mean, they will not be attached to how a dialogue on a textbook or a listening on a textbook it is. They are going to be using real life authentic material.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So that's something, and actually, somebody mentioned something important, the culture, linking that to culture as well. We also have to be aware of that maybe by using authentic material, we're also making them aware of culture that is not only like the culture that we have here in Mexico. They can actually compare a little bit about culture in other countries. So that's, I
Te-
mean, that's a good
Teacher, I
point.
wanted to say something too.
Uh huh.
I don't know if it is important to add authentic material in every class, because I think that students may live a different context.
Mhm.
So that means that they won't like properly use what is being told in class for that specific context. But I think is part of the of every class that we need to give little by little.
Yes, in this case, like I mentioned, we cannot really forget about the syllables that we have in a school, for example. We do have to use it, but as you mentioned, we can maybe not every day, not every class, but maybe we can integrate authentic material for them to also work in a real life context situation. So I mean that's the important aspect that we have to consider when we are teaching or using authentic material. There has to be a balance between using the syllables that we have for school and what we want them to also use for their real life context. Okay, and well, Paulina and Natalia, the I just want to clarify that it's not intended authentic material. It's actually the opposite. It's inauthentic material. So it would be books,
Um,
something that is related to the book. Okay. All right.
okay.
Before we finish this, what questions do you have with what we discussed about authentic material? No questions? All good?
I don't have any question, teacher.
All right. So to finish, and this is the thing that I'm going to ask you to do. I'm not going to give you a homework per se. like nothing to write. But I'm going to send you another file to your email, so be aware of that. I'm going to send a WhatsApp message when I send it, because I want you to read it. But here's the thing: for the third partial, what we're gonna do is we are going to use our classes to build a complete lesson plan. So we're going to go stage by stage, activity by activity, so that in the end, your final project for the third partial is an actual listening lesson plan. What I want you to do is I want you to look for, to find, or to select the material that you want to use for the listening lesson plan. If you, I don't know, want to use a song, or if you want to use a commercial, a TV commercial, a movie clip, something from the book, or a listening text from the ones that I sent at the beginning, you can use them. But I want you to select and come next Tuesday with the material you're going to use, because we're going to start creating the lesson planning in the class, okay? That's the only thing that I'm going to ask you to do, because in here we're going to use the session as a kind of like a listening lesson plan workshop thing, okay? Questions with this?
No, teacher, I don't have any question.
Okay, what
No,
about
I
the
don't
rest?
have
Is it
questions,
clear?
teacher.
Okay, so well, I'm gonna send this anyways to the WhatsApp group, and I'll tell you when I'll send the reading as well. And well, if there are no questions, then that's it for today. Thank you for attending the session, and I'll be getting in touch with you in the WhatsApp group, okay?
Okay, teacher.
All right, so have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye,
teacher.
teacher.
Bye.
Teacher.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that Ale sent me a message, but I just saw it, and she said that she couldn't connect because her internet connection is not good.
Okay.
So I just wanted to let you know that.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.